Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. I'm Jesse Waters in for Tucker. The left's still in a complete meltdown over Glenn Youngkin's win in Virginia. They're accusing anybody who voted for him of being a tiki torch carrying white supremacist. More on that in a minute. But first, Donald Trump officially became the Republican nominee for president in mid-July of 2016. Just days later, a Russian national living in this country made a claim that would upend Donald Trump's candidacy and eventually his presidency. It's a claim that changed the course of U.S. politics for the next 4 years. The Russian national, a man named Igor Danchenko, said he had just received a phone call proving that Donald Trump's campaign was conspiring with the Russian government. The phone call supposedly came from a U.S. citizen who was serving as president of the Russian-American Chamber of Commerce. That alleged phone call became the central piece of evidence in the Steele dossier, written by British ex-spy Christopher Steele. That dossier, in turn, was a key piece of evidence in the FBI's warrant applications to spy on the Trump campaign. The government leaked information on those supposedly secret warrant applications to the media, and the Russian collusion narrative began. In January, BuzzFeed published the Steele dossier online. BuzzFeed's editor justified publishing the document by saying the FBI was supposedly taking it seriously.
This document that is being fought over, and that, by the way, everybody except the public in a certain sense has seen, we've seen, and we don't have any special powers. At what point does the audience say, we can see this too, and we can deal with the fact that it is clearly labeled as unverified, that it's clearly labeled that some things in it aren't true, which is what we did.
I kind of get it. I mean, so what you're saying is because famous people are gossiping about it, and because other news organizations...
Famous people, the President of the United States, the President-elect, and the intelligence agencies.
A famous person.
Garden variety famous
trust
people.
Me, they gossip too. And by the way, let me just note...
Not gossip, official briefing, a document that, by the way, is a public document subject to the Freedom of Information law.
Well, actually, in some sense, it's gossip because it's unverified. And the difference between what you did and what Drudge did was what Drudge reported turned out to be true, whereas it looks like what you reported is not true.
There were obvious red flags with the dossier from the very beginning. For one thing, Christopher Steele was working for an opposition research firm called Fusion GPS, which was funded by the Hillary Clinton campaign. And the dossier made several obviously false claims. For example, it stated that the Trump campaign was working with hackers in the Russian consulate in Miami. But there is no Russian consulate in Miami. But for partisan reasons, media personalities overlooked all that. They insisted the dossier was reliable.
The allegations in this Christopher Steele dossier, and you went through the timeline very well a few moments ago, are stunning.
There are actually substantial portions of what was in the Steele dossier, which was a raw intelligence document, that have indeed checked out.
Based on our own reporting and word from numerous official sources, the dossier, in fact, is far from bogus.
I think we're going to actually have to stop calling it the infamous dossier. Increasingly, it's the accurate dossier.
Today, thanks to an indictment from U.S. Attorney John Durham, we learned the truth. It turns out that there was no late July 26 phone call to Igor Danchenko about Russian collusion. Igor Danchenko wasn't speaking to the head of the Russian-American Chamber of Commerce about Donald Trump or about anything at all. Instead, according to today's indictment, the source of much of Danchenko's information was a Democratic Party operative and a former Hillary Clinton advisor. We can identify that Clinton advisor tonight. His name is Charles Dolan. In other words, Hillary Clinton's team wasn't just funding the Steele dossier, they were effectively writing it too. Dolan, by the way, has extensive connections to Russia, closer connections than anybody on Donald Trump's team had from 2006 to 2014, for example. Dolan did PR work on behalf of the Russian government and a Russian energy company. According to Durham's indictment in August 2016, Danchenko told Dolan that he was working on, quote, a project against Trump, unquote. Dolan responded by saying he had just received dirt on Paul Manafort, who was Donald Trump's campaign manager at the time, from a, quote, GOP friend. It was all a lie. According to today's indictment, quote, Dolan later acknowledged to the FBI that he never met with a GOP friend in relation to this information that he passed to Danchenko, but rather fabricated the fact of the meeting and his communications with Danchenko. Throughout 2016, Dolan and other political operatives continued to feed Danchenko more lies about the Trump campaign. The indictment states, for example, that one of Danchenko's sources believed the ex-Clinton aide would, quote, take me to the State Department if Hillary wins. Danchenko himself also lied about traveling to the Moscow hotel in the summer of 2016, a trip where he supposedly gathered information about the infamous P-tape. Danchenko lied about all of this to the FBI. He never told them he was working for a former Hillary Clinton aide. So the big question is, how did Danchenko's lies and all of his bogus conversations with these sources get into the Steele dossier? Who connected Danchenko to Christopher Steele? Well, the indictment says that a member of the National Security Council named Fiona Hill first introduced Danchenko to Steele. If that name sounds familiar, it's because Fiona Hill was one of the Democratic Party's witnesses against Donald Trump in his first impeachment trial. Now she's popped up again as one of the key figures behind the Steele dossier. That's either an incredible coincidence or a sign that our national security establishment's even more corrupt than we thought it was. But it gets worse. The FBI, it turns out, knew for years that Danchenko's sourcing was garbage. They included his claims in search warrant applications against the Trump campaign, regardless. Declassified footnotes from a DOJ Inspector General report revealed that the FBI suspected Chris Steele's dossier was a part of an elaborate Russian disinformation campaign. One of the footnotes said the Bureau, quote, did not have high confidence in this subset of Steele's reporting and assessed that the referenced subset was part of a Russian disinformation campaign to denigrate U.S. foreign relations. That subset referred to the activities of former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen, who Steele's dossier claimed had traveled to Prague to meet with Russian agents. Special counsel Robert Mueller couldn't find anything to support that claim, and Cohen denied it. It was totally made up. Durham's indictment today makes it even more clear that the FBI knew the dossier was a scam. According to today's indictment, June 2017, FBI agents interviewed Danchenko in Virginia. Agents asked Danchenko about his contacts with the Clinton aide, Charles Dolan. Danchenko lied and said he didn't talk to Dolan. The FBI agent documented at the time he knew it was a lie, but nothing happened. The FBI didn't prosecute Danchenko. Robert Mueller didn't even mention any of this in his report. Until today, until John Durham's indictment, no one in the government did a thing. Now Danchenko faces 5 federal charges, including lying to the FBI to hide his conversations with Dolan. And this could just be the beginning. We're learning a lot about the collusion hoax very quickly. Weeks ago, John Durham indicted DNC lawyer named Michael Sussman for lying to the FBI about a secret channel of communications between the Trump Organization and a Russian bank. Durham has also secured a guilty plea from an ex-FBI attorney who lied about the Trump campaign's ties to Russia. Now we're learning that Hillary Clinton allies gave information to a Hillary Clinton contractor and laundered it, all of it, into the FBI and the Department of Justice. More than 4 years after that fabricated July 26 phone call, some of these criminals are finally going to jail. Kim Strassel is a columnist